We did it. We're Zooming, we're recording. Welcome, friends, to New Moon Circle, April. I'm like, let me center in. What day is this? Yeah, April 27th. And um, dialing in from a really extraordinary place in the world. I'm in the lands of the fierce and proud Amazigh peoples, Chefchaouen in the Rif Mountains, the northern part of Morocco, Maghreb. And it's just hours before the new moon is exact, 27th of April. And the fun begins. I feel like for me, it's like 8 p.m. or something here. But those kind of things, you can reference for yourself. What time exact was the new moon? Maybe I'll get good about this and start putting it in the comments. Anywho, we haven't had a moon circle for a month, and I was feeling it during this past full moon. We were out in the desert on desert adventure, under the stars. It was actually a cloudy night in the desert, and it thundered. Wow! It's been very wet here in Morocco, and it rained like mad. Actually, earlier in the day, we had gotten caught in some flash flooding there on in the Rocky Desert Mountains. And we were doing some slot canyoning, and we backed out because this rain, and you just don't know what's going to happen. Very volatile weather happening. So very wet. Lakes reemerged in the deserts of Merzouga, like way out in the dunes of Sahara. And there we were, thunder, lightning, rainbows. It was a cloudy night, the full moon night, but we had a very wacky night. There was debauchery that night. There was drunkenness, not on our part, for once. I stopped drinking alcohol, so I'm like free from such debauchery. Anywho, so we didn't get to do a moon thing because internet was not a thing. And I thought of all of you, held you in my heart. The last time we met for New Moon Circle was March 29th, new moon, solar eclipse. There was a lot going on. Very powerful. New Saturn transit, Sidereal Pisces. Woo, very powerful. And so we've been settling in for 30 days to that vibe, that energy. And here we are at the next new moon that is also a beautiful new moon. This is a like power zone for me personally. Coming into this moon is where my sun and moon are located in my natal chart, the nakshatra Bharani. And it's a powerful, potent time. It's a volatile time. It's a changeful time. It's an exciting time. And we're at this interesting crossroads time. Also, we're back at this T square. We were just there in the late autumn. This decision making fork in the cosmos, if you will. So lots to share, lots to discuss. But first, I want to take you on a little adventure. What you see behind me is Chefchaouen blue. It is a blazy sunny day, so I gotta wear some shades when we step out here into the full sun rays. I'm taking a little tour. Chefchaouen. It's my dar where I'm staying. And this, I'm just gonna point you towards it. These are the Rif Mountains. They're just like the dramatic backdrop. No, mosque in the distance there. And then this is Chefchaouen. This is the Blue City. And this right here is a fort. And the whole city, you can even see like parts of it over there, and then it's all the way behind us. This is a fortified city. Founded in 1471. and who came here and settled were the last of Jews and Moors, Muslims, in Spain. And they came here, founded the place. That would have even been like in 1460s or so. And then the Portuguese tried to invade in 1471, and that's when this whole setup is erected to protect the city. And there's a vibrant market here. The whole thing is called the Medina, Old City, and then the market, the souk, is throughout. And there's artisans here and people who make amazing things, and woodworking and leatherworking and weaving. It's not right here. I don't think carpets, but textile weaving. Yeah, super cool. Chefchaouen, the Blue City, also called the Blue Pearl. And this is the land of the Amazigh people. Super fierce warrior people, so in touch with their medicines, their like connection to land, so beautiful. Um, and me, on a personal note, I'm just finishing up 3 months here in Morocco. It's been like so fruitful, so amazing. I am in so much gratitude to the spirits of the land here, the ancestors of the land, all of these amazing beings that I met up here in the mountains, these enchanted lands here. Wow. I've just been held in so much beauty and love. And I'm working hard on my own cultural skills, my darija, and it's all really coming along. And so I'm right at that precipice of like, oh no, I get 3 more months and I would be fluid and we could just, but we got to continue the broader mission, the global mission, and believe in that, right? And and maybe that's the first of many messages that I want to share today in this community gathering, this full moon gathering, that um, that follow your spirit, cultivate your intuitive voice and follow your spirit and believe in it, and you will be guided. Your internal compass is an amazing tool. um, Believing in yourself, courage and confidence, and as another call to prayer. Much later than everybody else, but getting it in. I think the Zoom filters this out, so you guys can't hear this, or enough time has passed that it's ready for another one. So I pulled a tarot card about this moon, and an absolute rave fave card. This is the Nine of Cups. Oh, it's watery and it's so full and it's in celebration and it's and feelings when we are in touch with them, and when they are flowing in a comfortable amount. It's such a beautiful thing. Everybody here is like doing their yoga and bathing and beautifying and resting, and they're doing it with the goddess. And she's the goddess of the Mediterranean. And personal update number 2, I feel this most beautiful tug at my heartstrings to go on pilgrimage with this goddess. So that's what I planned for our world schooling adventure for the next couple of months. Is we're gonna sit with this ma and be with her and learn her names and how she connects. And it's really amazing in so many of her places. We've been to many of her places already. And each time she sort of whispered to us, but now I hear her voice. It's really strong. You can see her in like the image in the back. They're all like playing to her. Playing with the goddess. I love this. And even in this moment of hearing the call to prayer, this is the sentiment that I'm leaving Morocco with, actually, is this just deep connection to source energy in all its forms, and the form that we've been hanging out with our Sufi friends, in the form of Allah, and the 99 names of Allah, and these vibrational resonances, and the song and the poetry and all the beauty is a beauty way place. Maghreb. Maghreb means the place where the sun sets, because it's all the way at the end of Africa. Maghreb. This connection, it's like a fountain of endless star firepower. And it's so beautiful and so expansive. And it's not the first time that I've met and merged with this energy. Um, it's been a pretty constant um, merging for the last like 18 months. It's like a part of a larger story, but whatever. Like, stories within stories, like when this turned on, and this constant energy, and then being here in Ramadan and all these things and this connection. And me, I'm a goddess worshiper. Like me and my mom were so good. And so I can be with her, and I can be in celebration of all things sacred. And that just totally juices me and works for me. And within all of this, I heard Ma Mediterranean. She has a name. I'm just blanking it right now. And there are many layers of Mary Magdalene, like how Ma Mediterranean morphed with the Christian diaspora. All her places are like places of Mary Magdalena. And we went to her place last year just on an intuitive calling. And I'm like, oh, that was her place. Now I know all the pilgrimage sites there. You're like, oh, okay, next time we do her pilgrimage, you know. So I love that pilgrimage is calling. Part of the astrology of right now, not the new moon, but 2 days after, is Akshay Tritiya, and that is the day of golden success. It'll be April 29th, and it starts at 5 a.m. Pacific time, and I forget when it ends Pacific time though, but it starts at 5 a.m. Pacific time, and I think it'll run until about midnight, the 29th. And it's this amazing portal of starting new things, success. Like, it's the moment of benefic boon bestowing in the calendar year, in the Jyotish view, sidereal astrology Jyotish. So you start things, then you initiate. It's like some people think, oh, you buy gold, like South Asian style. No, no, no. It's not like a Lakshmi day. It's a different alignment in the boon bestowing. And so you start a business, you make an initiative, you send that email, you announce something, you make that connection, you be assertive, you think thoughts towards the things you want to be successful in. Yup, that day is on the horizon. So I'm going to I've already prepared newsletters to go out that day that are announcing the retreats that we're going to do next year, and these amazing healing offerings, and some affordable things, and then some like outrageous things. And pilgrimage is calling. And I love pilgrimage. It's my favorite way to travel, actually. You have this purpose, and you're going to connect with places and the sacred, and that's your mission. And that's what leads you, and that's what talks to you, and that's who you talk to, and you be in this communion, and then you receive these blessings, these vibrational connections. Like, pilgrimage is the best. So India pilgrimage, inshallah, October 2026. That's a big one. And we just did a big one. We just did 18 days in Morocco. And so let's dream big. Why can't our liberation be joyful and big and and deep and genuine? You know what I mean? Why not? For me, I'm like a big dreams person, you know. So message number 3, which relates back to message number 1, big dreams, big dreams. So, oh my God, if this is the energy at this moon, this 9 of Cups, all this like exuberance and joyfulness and expressiveness. And let us remember it's super spring. It's like fertility spring, you know? So it's all the things all at once, like this. So interestingly, the symbols in that we find of the nakshatras, the lunar mansion of this moon. So the moon is in Bharani. Obviously, the sun and the moon are meeting in Bharani nakshatra, and the symbol of Bharani is a yoni, and the deity associated with Bharani is Yama, the Lord of Death. And so right away we can start tuning into that deep intermediary space between birth and death, death and birth. I know 2 people in my immediate circle, one whose mom just passed, and another whose mom's passing is imminent. And, you know, what do we want at the end of our lives? We can say a good death. We want completion and reconciliation. And then there's a literal reconciliation of your actions, like karmic report sheet. So a final reconciliation will also occur. And what type of path your being will take from there. Like that, no matter what your belief is, it's an onward journey that we can all agree with. So a portal of reproductivity and that springtime energy, fertility, all these fun things, you know. And then we also have death, meaning transformation. Dynamic process. I'm looking at this iconography again in this 9 of Cups, and there's rest and there's play, but there's a dynamism in the imagery. People are doing all sorts of different things in there. And so bring change, transformation is afoot in the height of this energy. New moon, so we get to start new things. We get to start a whole new 30-day moon cycle. Bigger astrological view. It's been an absolute body, and technically one planetary war, but what party isn't a good time in the celestial if there's not also a planetary war? You know, like, let's keep the celestial halls interesting, a little drama. But this has been like quite the thing. So sidereal Pisces is the sign, and that's the part where you go and you look at your natal chart and you see, well, where is sidereal Pisces? So you can go to moondanceastrology.com and bring up your chart, or Drik Panchang, and bring up your chart, your Vedic chart, and see which house Pisces is sitting in. And right now that's where the whole show and, you know, reality TV show and, you know, people's court and whatever is going down in that house. What are those themes associated with? And that is Pisces. So from the sign itself, we know that this is a watery place. It's a spiritual place, dreamy and creative. In the natural zodiac, it's the natural 12th house. And so this is liminal spaces in the ancestral realm, the Akashic, and the ancestors, sleep and bed pleasures, losses and transcendence, moksha, liberation. There's a lot going on in the 12th house. And it is a house of death and transformation. It's one of the three houses, 6, 8, 12. So Yama presides there. Actually, Yama is technically an Aries, so that's unfair, but wrong association. But next door is Yama. So, who's been in Pisces? Well, Saturn just moved in there. 2.5 year cycle initiated. So, whatever Saturn has been pressing on for the last 2.5 years for you, somewhere you feel relief in some aspect of your life because Saturn's gaze is strong, very intense. You're going to do work there. You're going to work hard or be punished. So do the work. So, yep. Thank you, Shani. Thank you, Saturn, and all your lessons. So, karmic taskmaster planet, if I haven't driven the theme home hard enough. Moving into Pisces, which Saturn likes, and Saturn chills a little. Saturn has just been supercharged for the last 5 years in its own signs, Capricorn and Aquarius. So you can look back over the last 5 years and see how Saturn has reshaped all of our lives. Yes. And all those lovely conjunctions. Saturn, Pluto. Yes, good times. Venus has been in Pisces for a very long time, still is there. Eventually we'll move on. But that's your planetary war, is Venus and Saturn. That's a pretty good one. Though Venus tends to win most planetary wars. So do err on the side of beauty and love. Don't totally give in to the severity of Saturn, whatever it's calling to you. Keep it a little moist. Keep it a little Venusian. Beauty, romance, fertility, artistry of life, food, and decadence. Just a little. Go totally severe. Venus is always helping you in your corner. A beautiful, benefic planet. The epic rub is Rahu has been transiting. North node of the moon has been transiting through Pisces. Is coming to the last month of its 18-month transit. I know for me, this has been a righteous nodal reversal. You know what that means? Yep. I can now look over the last 17 months and see just what left and what came in. It was like having a personal eclipse for 18 months. It's a lot. One more month to go, so I'm not counting out anything else that might want to clip out or clip in, you know. So keep it open, right? One more month, and Rahu changes signs. But Saturn and Rahu have been in exact conjunction April 21st, and then we're in the rest of the conjunction, like 10, 12 degrees worth of conjunction on either side. That has really turned things upside down. That's a lot of very, very windy energy. The Vata planet meeting a super Vata planet. It's like out of control wind, Vata element, which equals anxiety. So if for the last few weeks you have had more anxiety, unexplainable anxiety, just anxiety spikes, take a deep breath. Anyway, that always helps. I know it was that way for me, and just riding those waves, putting good skills in place. And this too shall pass, this influence. We're already on the backside of it. We're 6 days on the backside of it. So, but that's a lot. Now, who's in that mix is Mars across the zodiac. So what we actually have is Saturn, Rahu, Mars conjunction. Or is that Saturn, Rahu, Jupiter? Hang on, I gotta visualize. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's all a little mixed up for me. Mars is in with Moon. Mars is in Parivartana Yoga with Moon for the new moon. And I mean, we have been in Saturn, Rahu, Mars conjunct. And there's also been a Saturn, Rahu, Jupiter conjunct as well. Yeah, it's a lot. The Saturn, Mars, Rahu one is pretty volatile. We have had violence, we have had war. You can just see the news in the last few weeks. We've had escalation. And it's also, we start moving towards warmer weather. People are outside. There's just, you know, more cause for these instances of these kind of things on a local level. Chicago has an issue with just straight up like teen idleness. Like there's nothing for teens to do on the south and west side, and so they just come into the city, and then they kind of whiling out. all that teen energy gets going, and a few bad actors in the mix, and then they start like mob action whiling out, which is a much more accurate term than how the authorities view it. um, and then but it does inspire also crime and violence on the streets there, so it's a real cluster their issue, how they're gonna solve that, because it's a systemic issue, so like this, weather's warmer, people outside, blah blah blah. So woo, that's your volatility, thorn, Mars, planet of war, fire, agni in the mix. So there's a lot with those. We're not even quite done yet. On the way to this new moon in the last 48 hours, the moon passed over all of this. That's a lot. So just in the last 48 hours, if you were feeling some type of way, you know, yes, a moon can really turn the minds, butter churner. So Mercury has also been in this mix and is also, after its retrograde, finally going to kind of move on. So this great, great, great intensity period concludes in this party in Pisces, concludes in May 29th. May 29th. The nodes will change signs. Venus and Mercury will have moved on. Saturn will just be in Pisces with Neptune. Traditional sidereal astrology doesn't look at the outer planets, but we definitely want to look at the outer planets. It gives us so much insight on the collective. Y'all, this upcoming thing, Saturn, Neptune, and Rahu, North Node of the Moon in Aquarius, we're going to get new technology in the next like 18 months, 2.5 years. We're going to see things like something's about to take some crazy technological leap. It will happen. It's whatever it is, I don't even know. So there's crazy things coming up. I mean, don't despair. We got to still do our work, at this time. But things are afoot, and Neptune is with the collective for 14 years in the sign. Uranus is 7 years. Uranus is about to get settled into sidereal Taurus, and will be there for the next 7 years. Uranus came in, had a final retrograde cycle, kind of gathered the last little bits of things that it was gathering in Aries, and will also be in the mix this spring moving into sidereal Taurus for its 7-year transit. And that's a planet of revolution. Taurus, food, nourishment. Things will be shifting and rapidly. What? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know to put my head into it. My head's in other things. So we named Saturn, where Saturn is, outer planets. We named Uranus, planet of revolution. We named Neptune, artistry, technology, like a higher octave of Venus. In a very like nurturing, watery place like Pisces, super spiritual, new spirituality. There's going to be new spiritual movement. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I might know more about that one. I might be tuned into that one. But I'm just talking astrology. I'm just talking the symbols of the things all together in a story, right? Technology of our ancestors. Mm-hmm. And then Pluto. And I'm feeling real Captain Segway right now because that brings us back to our new moon, actually. Pluto, outermost planet, like a higher octave of Saturn. Secrets, deep government intelligence, revolution, the masses. Pluto is in Aquarius for Pluto's transit, and Aquarius is social networks and groups of people as an indicator. So we're on a very like social revolutionary new technology, new spirituality vibe. That's what's initiating, starting from the eclipse, March 29th, just saying. Supercharged. This Pluto matter and the new moon is really one of the big things of this new moon. The new moon is in Aries. Sun and moon are meeting in Aries in exact degree alignment. And that's our Amavasya, the start of the new moon. And at that moment, they are in conjunct with Mars, who is in Cancer, very watery place. Mars isn't happy in that watery place and can be a little held back. And because Mars isn't happy, can also be an indicator for violence. So Mars isn't pacified. Mars is unhappy, fighty, but sloshy, you know. And boom, Mars gets this fiery zap from over there in Aries. Mars ruled fire zone, and Mars is conjunct with Pluto. So these are so it's actually, and the conjunction is a T square. This crossroads showed up in late autumn, early winter around our election time as another social dimension challenge to choose between two approaches, Mars and Pluto. Mars being emotional response and emotional reaction, or choosing transformation and embracing the suffering. Yeah, those are the two choices. And that this moon, we're revisiting that. Mars is in the T square to Pluto at the new moon. Here again is this thing. So the astrologers right now that are focusing that on the mundane astrology level, that's pointing us towards, US social thing that's happening, which I guess is called a thing today. They're in a process. Um, these crazy policies that are being pushed through, these crazy actions, this rapid dismantling. It's very showy. It's so apparent that it's really just a game of the wealthy to get as much money as they possibly can. Like they're so lost on greed that they're having a moment of power, and this is what they're doing with it. And to be honest with you, you know, it Satan's having a heyday, and this is like Satan's retinue. These are like ghosts and goblins, and that's not even to disparage true ghosts and goblins, but just as archetypes of mischief and evil, like evil for the sake of evil. That's what we're witnessing. But what's the tragedy is the complete disregard for the preciousness of human life. Like, how long are we going to completely ignore this dimension in how we build and how we design and how we build and how we execute and the materials that we use to do it? And then this question of access, of who gets access and who doesn't, to what quality of said material. It's just a real losing game. I believe these are death throes, but I don't know how long they go on for. So we have to conserve and build reservoirs of energy and strength. And I mean that in an absolute physical way. Like, I want to see people training, myself included, and um, building physical strength and practicing warrior arts at this time. Like, we can't just oversaturate in emotion and then over intellectualize. You have to actualize in the body. And we will need like literal physical effort to do so. So you're going to see me repping this, and you're going to see it in 2026. And like, these are the invitations going forward. Like, I'm super clear on how I want to navigate and design spaces within what I see are opportunities. Mars, Pluto, I want a mashup of that. Let's be like embracing the suffering through connecting to source and training the body in warrior arts, pacifying the Pluto, pacifying the Mars, and focused on what is truly available at this time, which is just amazing transformation. So let me tune you in a little on this dimension of the nakshatra, the meaning, and it's not a long chapter either. Sometimes the chapters get a little winded, but we're reading from favorite reference, Bapin Bihari's Myths and Symbols of Vedic Astrology. And Bharani is in the sign of Aries. The asterism is ruled by Venus. So Bharani Nakshatra is ruled by Venus. Aries is ruled by Mars. So there's a little Venus-Mars thing going on in there. The asterism itself, Bharani has the basic attribute of Rajas. I mean, clearly this is a zone of activity, right? And it's directed towards the doings of life, Artha. Like, three important keys to reveal its inner meaning. We're just talking about the nakshatra of the moon. First is its symbol, which is the yoni, the female reproductive organ. Silly way to describe the yoni. Second is its basic principle, which is Shakti. So it's Tattva is Shakti, the cosmic passive principle. So the firmament, the yin substance. And third, its presiding deity, who is Yama, the god of death. This is the second nakshatra in the whole 28 to 30 nakshatra system. So the first one, Ashwini, represents the cosmic energy in its latent state, differentiated from the void or nothingness, yet not in its kinetic potential. So I don't know, side note, if you started to pick up on this language of the nakshatras, but it's like a evolutionary story, narrative of like how things materialize in the universe, in, including us, and then like our attributes and principles and as they relate to so the spiritual end. Okay, anyhow. So Ashvini, the first asterism, represents the cosmic energy in its latent state, differentiated from the void or nothingness, yet not in its kinetic potential. The second asterism, Bharani, symbolized by the yoni, establishes this potential as the channel for creation. So first and foremost, this symbol represents the channel for creation. The Sanskrit name for the female generative organ, bhaga, has several meanings. In Sanatan rituals and observances, the feminine creative energy has great importance. It relates symbolically to the arghya, the chalice used for pouring water on statues of deities, there signifying thereby a means or channel for expressing one's devotion to the supreme. The cosmic feminine force is often compared with a boat which transports people and goods from one place to another. Water symbolizes the movement of the life force. The second asterism also has the connotation of transporting souls from one realm of existence to another, or from the realm of subjective to objective manifestation. The word bhaga also means that which is auspicious and derives from the root bhaj, which means connected with nourishment. It shows Bharani's function as a conduit through which the divine energy flows to nourish the manifestation. The arghya, which water is poured to express one's devotion, also symbolizes a bridge between the human and the divine. Okay, like, he loves these biblical references, like Noah's Ark, like skip. Here we go. So funny. In Vedantic philosophy, the two primary powers of manifestation are said to be Shiva Tattva and Shakti Tattva. The active and the passive principles, the centrifugal and centripetal forces in nature, on whose polarization and interaction depends all subsequent manifestation. Ashwini is of the nature of Shiva, whereas Bharani represents Shakti. As a powerful, attractive center drawing to itself the kinetic potential, it directs the energy on its course. Even passive energy can be highly electrifying, which is the basic nature of Aries, within whose field both these asterisms function. Yama, the god of death, ruling this asterism, can be interpreted two ways. One meaning of the word is the deity itself, yogic practices of discipline, practices which enable new life forces to permeate the physical form, Yama and Niyama. As the god of death, Yama directs the life force towards a new birth for the soul. When the old form becomes decrepit and unable to manifest the soul further, the god of death, Yama, enables us to detach from the old form to assume a new one. In this sense, Yama is the deity providing suitable channels for a more efficient flow of life energy. The central purpose of yogic practices like breath control or observances of truthfulness and nonviolence is to cleanse the physical form of the being so that the spiritual forces can flow freely into it. These yogic practices are similar to the rejuvenating processes occurring at the time of death. Rejuvenation. The difference is that in yoga, the process is assumed voluntarily, while at death, it occurs involuntarily. Bharani thereby indicates the passive potentiality capable of providing the essential environment where the different kinds of life forces can fructify. The yoni is not so much a channel for the satisfaction of personal craving as much as a means for providing nourishment for the future expression of life force, of the life force. It is a center of energy where evolutionary and generative processes can fructify and prosper. Bharani is the productive zone of Aries where originality and impulsiveness are much in action. Bharani provides impetus for new forms of manifestation to concretize or for the actualization of any concept. I did name Akshatritiya, and that's 48 hours from now, 29th, the day of golden success. That's what that is, the actualization of any concept. Ah, okay. There's more. Woo. Psychologically, the attraction which the yoni represents has an element of the unknown within it, kind of darkness. This unknown realm of darkness is ruled by Yama, the god of death. It is this unknown aspect behind all creative energy which springs from the deepest layer of being, that is the passive or Shakti principle. This element is the real foundation of all inspiration which transcends all known laws of logic. In ordinary human beings, the sudden downpour of universal energy is often expressed as human love, which is generally blind. Bharani is not so much rationality as emotion, or action under cosmic forces. Sorry, is just talking about people born under Bharani. We tend to take things to extremes. I'm not born under that star. I'm born under the next one. It's even more fierce. Anywho, so what an amazing springtime moon portal. So much available, so much going on, but you didn't need me to be talking for the last, hour or whatever to tell you that there's a lot going on. Woo! We're observing it for ourselves. It's all around, unless you're completely ignoring it, bypassing, or just off your rocker. I think the fourth message that I'll share is always to just do impeccable self-care. This just isn't a time where we need to antagonize ourselves. Like, maybe we'll just take self-antagonizing off the menu for a while. I think we're antagonized enough by what's happening in the collective. I think, just one more time, like, we could choose this energy. We can choose the Nine of Cups. We can choose this festive, restful celebration in harmony with the goddess and the ancestors and the trees and the waters, and be free and naked, the naked truth. And this is our season of visioning and creativity. If you're being creative and resting and dreaming and visioning, you are winning. Like, your protest is amazing. You have to believe in that as a form of resistance. Just saying. My fourth message. So we're back on new moon vibes. What are you going to plan in this new moon? Always want to plug Moon Dance Astrology, Pamela McDonough, her blog. She's about to launch her Substack, which I'm sure is going to be fire because she's putting all sorts of energy into it. So, she's going to give even more, go deeper. I'm in the middle of my astrology studies for professional certification, and really excited for the next few months to have that space to really give it that deep dive. So you'll probably hear me like blah, 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 blah astrology. But I got to go hard. If I go really hard for the rest of the year, we're gonna be able to do fun things in 2026. Medical mediumship, medical intuitive. Like, let's go. Let's move towards the goals. But yeah, you'll see my newsletter coming out on Tuesday. That's speaking these visions into being, and always some fun resources and beautiful nidras and things. So I'm gonna pause our circle here, and if we want to have a little check-in time, that's fun too. And I'm gonna pause the recording